Welcome in, and good morning, Santa Clarita. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and our show Eye on the Valley is brought to you by SCVi and iLead Charter Schools. We are a network of schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school, TK through 12. We've got home study, TK through 12. All free public charter schools throughout Santa Clarita, San Fernando Valley, or Santa Clarita, Antelope Valleys, and all across the Southland. For all of the schools information, you can go to iLeadSchools.org. Check us out at iLeadSchools.org for information on our classroom-based campuses, on our online school, our hybrid programs. We've got everything that you need to cover your child's educational needs, again, TK through 12th grade. So yeah, we keep our eye on education in Santa Clarita and across the nation, but like the show says, we like to keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in the Valley, and in the in-between time, we try to put a smile on your face, maybe a few chuckles. I know things are a little tense out there. It's been a stressful week, but even more reason to giggle a little bit. You know, people need something to lift their spirits and distract them from the stress. So to that end, my stupid big brother, Big T, joins us at the end of every show, and he'll be in today with trivia, with fun facts, some horsing around, and yeah, boy, do we ever have our eye on the Valley today. There's a lot to keep our eye on today. We hope you're staying safe out there. We're monitoring the Hughes Fire, and as firefighters get their hands around that. I was up there in Castaic when the fires first broke out on, Wednesday? My offices. iLead HQ is up there just off of Hasley Canyon. You know, it was kind of interesting. A little bit before 11 o'clock in the morning, I ducked into the conference room for a meeting, and as I was heading out, my team says, hey, there's a fire just up the road. We're keeping our eyes on our school, may want to send out some messaging. And so I said, okay, I know you guys have got it. And I ducked into my meeting. Well, about 30 minutes later, popped back out, and people were moving around. Folks were leaving, and smoke was billowing over the entire area. It was pretty surreal. So, yeah, a group of us grabbed our stuff, headed over to SCVi, helped them. They called school early. Had an early dismissal. Families come pick up their kids. It's not an easy place to get in and out of, so we like to be a little bit quicker to call things. But yeah, our school and offices were closed yesterday. Thankfully, we are reopened today. Kids are showing up for school already, and our offices are open. But that fire is still burning, and there are some folks still under evacuation. So what we've done, we've invited the mayor in this morning. Our number 2 mayor, Bill Miranda, will be joining us to give us an update on the fires and the evacuations, and talk about what they at the city are doing to help keep us safe. You know, we like our open spaces here in the Valley. We like to go hiking and enjoy the beautiful rolling hills that are here, but they do pose some danger when it gets dry and windy. But first, we're going to talk to the director of iLead Lancaster Charter School, Deborah Autrey. Have you ever met one of those people who just absolutely has a calming effect on everyone they encounter? Someone who likes everyone and is liked by everyone. Have you ever met someone who just has such tremendous poise and kind demeanor that it puts everyone around them at ease, reassuring you that not only do you belong, but you are loved? Have you ever met somebody like that? Well, imagine dropping your kids off at school every day where the principal is that person. I'm talking about Deborah Autrey, the director of iLead Lancaster Charter School. iLead Lancaster, founded in 2012, is located in the center of town, and just last year, they named Deborah as their school director. Deborah Autrey, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you, Matt. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad that you could join us this morning. So, Deborah, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself before we get into your school, iLead Lancaster. Give us a little bit of the background in your education, and then what drew you to iLead Lancaster. Did we lose you, Deborah? Are you there? I think we lost Deborah there. I know Jen's probably working on trying to get her back. As I mentioned, we've got Deborah Autrey this morning joining us. She's the director of iLead Lancaster. We're going to have her call back real quick. Deborah Autrey, the director at iLead Lancaster. iLead Lancaster Charter School was the second of our iLead schools. SCVi is our founding school. SCVi was founded in 2008, and then just 5 short years later, in 2012, we opened up iLead Lancaster. It was interesting. SCVi was opened through a parent movement. There were a group of parents that really wanted something different in their schools, and so SCVi was founded by that sort of grassroots movement of parents. Well, once we opened, we had quite a few educators that lived up in the Antelope Valley, and there were folks in the Antelope Valley that heard about what was going on at SCVi and said, "Hey, what about us? Y'all are driving down to Santa Clarita every day to go to this amazing school. Why don't you start a school up here?" And it was actually the mayor, Rex Paris. Yes, he was mayor way back then too. He's held that seat for quite a while up in Lancaster, and Rex was instrumental in helping get the school open in 2012. And so we had a few folks that had started at SCVi who then, living in Lancaster, they stayed a little bit closer to home, helped found the school, and the school opened in 2012. And then just last year, in early 2024, Deborah joined us as the school director, although prior to that she was with Lancaster. I understand she's back. Deborah, sorry about that. We're having some issues with the phone. Can you hear me?
No worries. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Thanks. So I was asking you about your educational background and what drew you to iLead Lancaster. Can you give us a little bit of your story?
Sure. Well, I started out as a sociology major, so I've always had that desire to work with others and help others. And so I did receive a bachelor's degree in sociology with a minor in public administration.
Okay.
But my goals shifted. I thought I would work for the federal government, but, my heart and soul was more with working with students and learners. And so I, received my multiple subject credential, a master's in educational administration, my admin credential, and working on my doctorate. So I'm...
And we lost her again. All right. So not sure what's going on, if that's happening on our end or if that's happening on Deborah's end.
It's hard for me to determine. It sounds like it's on her end. I can't tell if she's on a landline or a cell phone.
Okay. Well, we're going to...
It sounds like it might be on her end.
Okay. All righty.
There she is, I hear.
There we go.
Deborah?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
That's interesting. We got you now.
We keep losing you. Are you on a cell phone, Deborah?
Well, initially I was on our school phone, and then now I'm on my cell phone.
Well, that is interesting.
We're going to have you sit right where you are. Don't move.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't sneeze or blink or make any sudden movements, because we've got you right where you are.
All right. Well, Deborah, you mentioned your extensive background in education, and you really are just perfect for the job of running a school. iLead Lancaster is an extremely popular school. So why don't you tell us a little bit about why? What sets iLead Lancaster apart from other schools in the area?
Oh my goodness, iLead Lancaster is such a wonderful school. We do so many things. We focus on our learners, so we focus on personalized, education. We focus on their social emotional learning. We're project-based learning school. So we do all those things. We really emphasize the whole child with our learners here on campus.
Yeah, and I absolutely fell in love with project-based learning about a decade and a half ago. It really is that real-life learning. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty of why is this learning important, how is it used in the real world, and how can we either set that up or simulate that. It's just foundational to our instructional practices. So can you talk to us a little bit about how that's implemented at iLead Lancaster, what that looks like in the classroom?
Yes, so our facilitators really use it. It's used as a teaching method for our learners to investigate. They can investigate a question, have a driving question, a challenge, or a problem that they're interested in, which further explores, gives them additional knowledge and invites their curiosity. So it's a wonderful way to engage our learners with hands-on projects that they can work on for an extended amount of time to find real-world solutions to those challenging questions and problems.
Yeah, and it really does just kind of stop that age-old question, when am I ever going to use this in real life? Because it's at the forefront, right? You're putting your kids in real-life situations and scenarios to develop their learning. So can you give us some examples? What are some of the projects that your teams rolled out this year or maybe last year that kind of highlight what it looks like?
Right. Well, we have our glider project where our learners learn about a glider. We have an actual glider to come on campus. So while they're doing their research on the glider, we have the glider come. We have our pilots. They assemble it here on campus. And the great thing is not only are the learners who's actually working on the project, but we open it up to our entire student population from TK all the way up to 8th grade. So they get an opportunity to see the glider, to learn about it. So it's always a wonderful experiment. And with our learners who are actually doing the project, they have the opportunity to fly a glider. So that's always a great one. We have our learners who were just doing, our second graders who were learning about important figures, leaders. And so they got an opportunity to research those. They had self-reflection on who they kind of resonated with. And then what's great about our project-based learning is that at the end, our learners have an opportunity to present their learning. So they present it to their fellow classmates as well as their parents or guardians.
And I know that is really important. I'm sorry, go ahead, Deborah.
Which is our space project, which is always exciting.
Oh yeah, and we'll get into that in just a minute. I know the presentations are so important. It's one of those things that public speaking, being able to interact and manage a group of people is one of the top things required by employers out there, but it's one of the things that is listed among adults' biggest fears. And so getting over that or never even having an issue with that by presenting on a regular basis is so important.
And what's really great is that it's really instilling in them qualities that they need in their, adult lives, So we're really big on, voice and choice and, having them become leaders and all the skills that they're going to need in the future. So all of these things, presentation of learning, PBL, hands-on, helps them with those skills.
Yeah, so we talked about PBL, project-based learning, but you also mentioned your focus on social-emotional learning. And I know you were doing that way before it was cool, before the pandemic, and everybody realized how important working with the whole child was. So what are some of the ways that iLead Lancaster integrates social-emotional learning into the daily learning process?
Yes, so we always begin our day either in morning circle, morning advisory, and that's always the beginning of the day to take a gauge with our learners' social-emotional learning. We use our Frankly Covey curriculum, and so that incorporates, we start our day with lessons, and that's just really kind of how we start our day. So not only do we focus on academics, but again, we focus on the whole child, and we incorporate social-emotional learning. We have wonderful staff of counselors and social worker. And so that's embedded in our learners' daily lives. We're very big on restorative practice. And so we use our school community to incorporate that in just everything that we do beyond academics.
Yeah, so important, like I said, that you're working with the whole brain, the whole child. I'm looking here at your website, and it says folks can sign up to take a tour. That website is iLeadLancaster.org. I know when folks do come in to take a tour, or anytime someone shows up on your campus for the first time, the first two words out of their mouth are always the same. It's always, "Oh, wow," because your campus really is different. It's quite unique. Can you go over some of the unique facilities that you've got at iLead Lancaster and what causes that "oh, wow" moment when folks walk in the door?
Yes. So they probably do say, "Oh wow," because when you first walk in, you notice that we are an open concept school, right? So there's no walls, there's no doors. That is something very unique to us, and so that really fosters the collaboration that the facilitators
Sure.
and the learners have amongst themselves. So you instantly, when you walk in and when you walk into our learning spaces, you see the collaboration that's happening. You see the learning. You see the engagement. And so we have certain areas that when they do take a tour, they see some of these special places. So when they walk into our learning spaces, there's different areas that they will notice. They will notice something called the campfire, and that's really where our learners go and sit and begin their day. And like we were speaking about social emotional learning, a lot of those activities happen in the campfire, sitting on the rug, having those discussions. Then we have something called the watering hole, where the actual engaging lessons take place. We have a makery. Oh, going back to the classroom. And then we also have something called the cave. And that's an area where our learners can go if they just need a moment to self-reflect, just a quiet space for the learners. We have a great space called the makery. The learners can go there, and really that's where they're able to create, hands-on creative projects, design experiments, and things of that nature.
Now,
And then
Deborah,
we
I've
have
seen your
our,
makery, and
yes.
I know there's quite a few schools that understand the importance of having a makery, places where kids can bring their imagination to physical reality. But when schools say they have a makery, and then they see your makery, they realize, no, we don't really have a makery. Your makery is something special, isn't it?
Our makery is phenomenal. I mean, the things that our learners create and design is amazing. Just to see their creativity is beyond. And the things that I think we have a lot of things in our makery that just, engages them in science, engineering, and just their creative thinking.
Absolutely. And then there's another space that I like to call your digital makery. We have to keep it separate
Our
because we
digital.
can't get sawdust in the keyboards. Tell us about your exploratorium.
So, yes, so our exploratorium is a great place for our learners to, again, have that hands-on opportunity. And I hope everyone is hearing a theme here, lots of hands-on
Yes.
things happening here at iLead Lancaster. So the exploratorium is a place, where you see science, technology, engineering, and math coming together, with our digital media. So we have robotics for all ages. We have TK through all the way through 8th. And so you see that's a great place for individualized learning to take place, to just challenge them. So we have robotics. It's an area where they can create and make things. We have 3D printers. And so the things that the learners are able to utilize to bring their creativity to life is amazing.
Yeah, and that whole idea behind design thinking of imagine it, design it, create it, reiterate it is super important. Deborah Autrey, director of iLead Lancaster School, located in the center of town just off of Division Street at K4 in Lancaster. When we get back, we're going to talk about some of Deborah's kids that are sending an experiment to space. Yeah, you heard me right. They're sending an experiment to space on SpaceX. You'll hear all about that when we get back. I'm Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley, and you're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
If you'd like to take your business up a notch, take a look at Elite Magazine.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, the Magazine of Santa Clarita and eLead.
I'm so proud of Elite. It allows your advertisement to stand out. We distribute Elite to 50,000 homes and businesses. You'll find us in 1,900 local hotel rooms.
Discover how Elite Magazine can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
It's no wonder people love Baskin-Robbins. 31 delicious flavors of ice cream. Celebrate with your favorite ice cream served any way you want, including the special flavor of the month. Baskin-Robbins, now open on Lyons Avenue in Newhall under new Santa Clarita family ownership, is the first Southern California hybrid design store for Baskin-Robbins and the oldest location in Santa Clarita, over 45 years. America's favorite neighborhood ice cream shop is just one scoop away. Baskin-Robbins, the perfect dessert for your next celebration.
Stone Oven, the healthy alternative. You've never tasted a sandwich like this before. Gourmet bread cooked before your eyes. Stone Oven at the food court at Valencia Town Center.
Save at the best Santa Clarita restaurants. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price. Click on hometownstation.com and discover incredible savings. Online or at our radio station, everyone saves with Restaurant Row. Check it out at hometownstation.com. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price.
The all-new Nissan of Valencia with holiday season savings and incredible deals on awesome vehicles. Imagine driving off with a 2024 Rogue, financed with no interest, or lease it for just $199 a month. Nissan of Valencia's extensive inventory features a wide variety of new and used sedans, SUVs, trucks, and electric vehicles. Save on a 2024 Nissan Frontier truck or lease it for just $299 a month. The new Nissan of Valencia, attached to the Infinity of Valencia dealership. Visit nissanofvalencia.com for your savings details.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Deborah Autrey, director of iLead Lancaster Charter School, a free public charter school serving grades TK through 8 in Lancaster, California. Deborah, before the break, we were talking about some of the amazing real-world projects, hands-on learning that your learners are working on, and one of the most exciting ones every year is actually about to come to head here this spring. Talk to us about the Dream Up to Space project. Can you tell us what that's about and what your kids are doing?
Absolutely. I am so excited about this. So our Dream Up launch team they're heading for the stars, right? So they are working on and optimizing their experiment that to launch to the International Space Station, right? So that's exciting in and of itself. So to speak a little bit about what they're doing, their goal is to understand how microgravity affects the germination of the white willow tree. Okay, that sounds very fascinating, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so that does. And so why is this important? So there's three things about the willow tree, the white willow tree. The first thing is that the willow trees are natural healers, which I did not know that.
I did not know
that
either.
So willow trees are natural healers, and their bark has pain-relieving and anti-inflammatory properties, very similar to aspirin, which is fascinating to me. Another thing is that they are oxygen powerhouses.
Okay.
They produce large amounts of oxygen that's vital for space travel and colonization.
Right.
And lastly, carbon dioxide conquerors. They effectively remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So I'm excited to follow our team's journey as they explore all of this growth that they're learning about in space. And what I'm excited to announce that in a couple of weeks, our Dream Up to Space launch team will have an opportunity to attend a 2-day space conference at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So
how cool is that?
This is where PBL comes into play, where they will actually get an opportunity firsthand to see their real-world application and their hard work play out. So I'm excited about for the learners, because this will definitely be an unforgettable experience for them.
Absolutely. And you talk about doing real world work in school, even before they get to high school. They're trying to help NASA and the entire space exploration industry determine if this very important plant can be grown in space. They're doing the real work now. That is absolutely amazing. Deborah, so very exciting. Now, I'm looking at your website. You've got a lot going on at your school. I see you've got a Saturday enrichment program. It's actually starting tomorrow. I remember when I was in school, I had I don't know if they called it an enrichment program, but I did have a Saturday session that I attended once when I was a kid. But I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Can you tell us about your Saturday enrichment program? What are your kids going to be doing on Saturdays? Or is this just for kids that were causing trouble in school like I was?
No, absolutely, absolutely not. And I remember Saturday school being like that. And so our Saturday school is completely different, right? It's an opportunity for our learners, and as you said, it starts tomorrow. It's an opportunity for our learners to come. It's an enrichment opportunity for our learners. If you consider summer school and all the things that they would do in summer school, it's the same thing for our Saturday enrichment program. So Saturdays will be filled with opportunities for learners to work on math and reading skills, which is always important.
Yep.
They will also not only focus on academics, but they'll also have opportunity to explore, work with our exploratorium and do all those creative things in our exploratorium, as well as arts projects and tutoring. They'll have opportunity to receive tutoring, and we'll just make it a fun experience for them when they come.
Well, fantastic. Fantastic. And as long as we're hitting on some upcoming events, I know, looks like you've got a webinar that's exclusive for SCVi and iLead families, the iLead family of schools, on how to access free money for college as well as tax-free college savings accounts. But you've also got your learner-led conferences coming up soon too, or have those started already? Talk about these learner-led conferences and how they're different from what most folks consider a traditional parent-teacher conference.
So our learner-led conferences started yesterday. They'll continue today, and then they will also happen next Friday as well. So we have 3 days of learner-led conferences, and they are very different from what you would consider as a parent-teacher conference. With our learner-led, it's exactly as you hear it. It's led by the learner, right? So the learner is actually leading the conference, and they talk about some things such as, it's a self-reflection, and they're talking about, how did they do their progress towards their individual learning plan, because each learner, and that's how we're different too, each learner has an IOP, an individual learning plan goal. And so learner-led conferences, it's a great opportunity for the learner to share with their parent or guardian their progress. They're able to review their work with their parent, guardian, and facilitator. The facilitator is there just to facilitate, just to give any necessary prompts or anything, but the learner really leads the conference. They review work and their progress. There's a discussion about their social emotional learning. How are they working? Because there's goals on those too. We just don't make goals about academics. We also have goals for social emotional learning for each learner. They make their own goals. And so it's a perfect reflection, a reflective opportunity for the learner, the parent guardian. The parent guardian can ask questions to get more insight, and then moving forward, what are they doing to promote those goals?
That is so important, Deborah. Still in 2024, far too often, the students themselves are seen as a kind of a passive, almost secondary participant in the educational process. But it's their education. They're the end user. They're the ones that benefit. Why wouldn't they be in the driver's seat? Why wouldn't they take ownership of their own learning? Love that y'all are doing that, and in so many different ways. and this just exemplifies it. Now, I noticed you've also got quite a few extracurricular activities and different enrichment programs at your school. Can you talk about some of those different things that are going on maybe after school that showcase your kids' talents and help them dial in some enrichment opportunity?
We do. We have a program, a musical performance program that we have, Let It Out. They come out
Nice.
and they work with our learners. They learn just a facet of things, anything musical performance. They're learning how to sing. They're making records and songs, and they're learning videography. It's a wealth of things that they're learning, anything pertaining to performance. We have ballroom dancing.
All right.
We have our sports, which we had a game. We had 3 games yesterday, and it's so encouraging and it's uplifting to see our learners, because that's something that encourages and motivates our learners as well when we have our extracurricular. And so at our basketball games yesterday, the learners were so engaged and involved, and now we have cheer. And so our cheer squad made their debut yesterday, and it was so exciting because not only were the cheerleaders, our cheer squad, uplifting us, the iLead parents and guardians, but they were also uplifting the other people in the room. I had someone come to me, an administrator, and she said, "Wow, your cheer, they're energizing me." And so it was just an uplift, and so it's wonderful to see our learners in a different light other than just academics, to see them in their own elements, things that they enjoy, and it's great. It helps, again, the whole.
That is fantastic. So, Deborah, I know that as your school continues to grow, you continue to hire more staff, and you're constantly looking for high-quality folks that want to work with kids there at iLead Lancaster. So what qualities do you look for in educators who join the iLead Lancaster team?
Mm-hmm. I look for the same qualities that we are instilling in our learners on a daily basis. We instill in our learners, we want them to be lifelong learners. We want them to be empathetic citizens. We want them to be authentic individuals, and we want them to be design thinkers. And so I look for those same qualities in the people who work with our learners, because you have to have those qualities to share with our learners, right? So if you're a lifelong learner, are you self-directed? Are you focusing on your own personal growth? Are you empathetic? Do you seek to understand? Do you appreciate others? Are you an authentic individual? Are you true to yourself, your values, and your beliefs? And then lastly, I look to see if they're a design thinker. Are you creative? Are you imaginative? Are you innovative? Do you come up with innovative solutions? Are you collaborative? Do you work well with others? So all those things that we want in our learners, I look to for our staff.
Well, if those are the qualities that you're looking for in your staff, it's no wonder that you've got such a dynamic, high-energy, exciting group of folks that you're working there with. But let's give the pitch to those folks that might hit the now hiring button on your website. What makes working at iLead Lancaster different than working at maybe a traditional school?
Well, just right off the bat, what makes it different from working anywhere else is that you're going to really, truly, in essence, have a collaborative experience. You're going to have collaborative experience with your fellow colleagues, with the learners that you interact with. You're going to have the opportunity to really be innovative. And sometimes that's not always welcomed everywhere. So everyone's voice is welcome. And I think there's just the collaboration, which is so different. They're going to see that first and foremost.
Absolutely. I mentioned that website. It's iLeadLancaster.org. And right there at the top, very easy to find. You've got several buttons, one to take a tour of the school and see that innovative campus that you talked about, one to join information sessions if you want to ask some questions of the team, the leadership team there. You've got a now hiring button if we've got educators out there that are are looking for an exciting, innovative, beautiful place to work. And then lastly, on the far right, you've got that Enroll Now button if families are ready to sign up. Deborah, I know you're taking applications for the next school year already, 2025-26. And it's important families get in on that enrollment lottery because y'all develop a long wait list. Deborah, I want to thank you for joining me this morning. Deborah Autrey, Director of iLead Lancaster Charter School. iLead Lancaster, again, just off of Division Street at K4 in Lancaster. You can get more information on their website, again, iLeadLancaster.org. Sign up for a tour, fill out the application, and fill out the application if you're ready to transfer over now or if you're ready to sign up for 2025-26. Again, check them out at iLeadLancaster.org. Deborah, thank you again for joining us this morning. You have a great day and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. You too.
And y'all stick around. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We just had a wonderful conversation with Deborah Autrey, Director of iLead Lancaster. You know, families are just busting down the door to get into that school, and they just opened their enrollment lottery for 2025-26. So if you have kids in the Lancaster area, you're going to want to check out their website at iLeadLancaster.org. Take a tour, sign up for an information session, give you a little hack here, fill out the application first. That way you make sure that you get in line for that lottery, and then if you decide later on after taking a tour, after taking an information session, that it's not for you, you can just pull your application. There's no deposit, no fee involved or anything like that. Once again, we are a free public charter school. So again, that's iLeadLancaster.org. And coming up in our next break, we'll have Mayor Bill Miranda. He's going to be here to discuss the Hughes Fire and give us some updates on that, as well as his priorities for 2025 and plenty more. So stick around for that. But first, let's take a look at this day in history, shall we? I love history. Jen, are you a history buff?
I am actually, yes.
All right, fantastic.
And not that I know, trivia necessarily, but I enjoy it. I'm a buff in that way.
Well, we'll see how you do on trivia a little bit later on in the show. But so let's take a look. Today is Friday, January 24th, and on this date, January 24th, 2024, Opportunity landed on Mars. Opportunity with a capital O. That is the six-wheeled robotic rover Opportunity. It landed on Mars, launched in mid-2023. It landed this day in, I'm sorry, not 2023, 2003. It landed this day in 2004, like its twin rover Spirit, which had landed on January 3rd. It analyzed rocks and soils and relayed pictures back to Earth and kind of led the way for that Mars exploration that Deborah was talking about, that our kids are joining, right? And now 21 years later, we've got kids that are sending up white willows to see if they'll grow in space because of all the properties that they offer that we may need in space. On January 24th, 2003, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security became an official thing as Tom Ridge was sworn in as the agency's first secretary. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, born this day in 2003. And on this day in 1993, 10 years before that, Thurgood Marshall passed away. Oh, what a guy. Thurgood Marshall, as you know, was our first African-American Supreme Court justice. Passed away on this day in 1993. And just 4 years before that, on January 24th, 1 year before that, January 24th, 1992, another gentleman of note passed away. A little bit different, a little bit more nefarious, and passed away of much less natural causes. On January 24th, 1992, serial killer Ted Bundy died. He confessed to murdering about 30 women, although a lot of people believe that number is much higher. He was executed on January 24th, 1992. At the age of 42. And on this date in 1984, Jen, how old were you in 1984?
I was 1987.
Yeah, probably shouldn't ask a lady to identify her age. So you might not
all right.
remember the commercial, but on this day in 1984, Steve Jobs introduced Apple's revolutionary computer Macintosh just 2 days after the groundbreaking commercial 1984 aired before a national television audience and the Super Bowl. It heralded the product's impending release. And yeah, I remember watching the commercial on the Super Bowl and thinking, wow, that was an interesting commercial. Had a lot of folks talking.
Yeah.
It was kind of this dystopian black and white kind of, Orwell's 1984 kind of thing with everybody just kind of marching like minions to work. And then this guy kind of came running out of the back with a sledgehammer and threw it at what eventually was the television screen, and it shattered the screen, and things came to color. And it was a really innovative commercial at that time, really got folks talking, and it said Macintosh now coming.
It's
and
incredible.
Then he launched it on this day in 1984. And guess what? It's Neil Diamond's birthday, everybody. American singer, songwriter Neil Diamond, who wrote pop songs for other musicians before launching his own successful recording career, was born on this day, January 24th, 1941. Happy birthday, Neil Diamond.
One of the most classic songs of all time. Well, several, obviously, but
which one? What's your go-to?
Oh, well, Sweet Caroline.
I mean,
that's everyone's, I think. It's, it's the perfect sing-along.
There you go. It absolutely is. And, interestingly, he wrote the song, I Write the Songs.
Yeah.
Sung by Barry Manilow.
I didn't realize that he was, obviously he's a great writer, but I didn't know he wrote so much for other artists as well.
He made good money before he ever recorded a song. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, quite the songwriter. And 1 year before Neil was born, January 24th, 1940, the film The Grapes of Wrath was released. The acclaimed adaptation of John Steinbeck's classic novel premiered, and the character Tom Joad's soliloquy on the poor, reflecting his empathy for their plight, remains one of the most famous and iconic scenes in film history to this day. So again, released in 1940, The Grapes of Wrath. Getting a little bit older now, on this date in 1908, the first Boy Scout troop was organized by Lieutenant General Robert Baden-Powell in England. Sorry, getting text from show contributors here.
Okay.
And their film preferences.
Their 2 cents.
Yeah.
Were you a Boy Scout, Matt?
I was not a Boy Scout. It's funny. I remember in the 80s when I was in school, they would always come out and kind of make a pitch and come join the Boy Scouts. I did win a couple of hockey tickets when they came out to my class, but never joined the Boy Scouts. No, I was more of a sports guy, playing baseball, things like that. Let's see. On January 24th, 1848, now we're going back, carpenter James Wilson Marshall found nuggets of gold in California's American River near the site of a sawmill that he was building for John Sutter, ushering in the famous gold rush. Many people will tell you, Jen, that that was the first time gold was discovered in California, but it was not. Did you know that?
I think I've heard that there's a little controversy on the exact start of that.
Controversy. Gold was actually discovered a full 6 years before that in 1842, right here around the corner in Santa Clarita. That's right. Francisco Lopez taking a rest under what is now known as the Oak of the Golden Dream, right here in Placerita Canyon, just picking at the grass and pulled up some gold. And that caused a little minor gold rush. It was commercialized. But, of course, the more famous one was Marshall's find, obviously finding, some pretty decent-sized nuggets, and ended up being quite the gold rush. And then now we're going way back. Now we're going back almost 500 years. January 24th, 1556, an earthquake rocked the Shenxi province of China, killing 830,000 people.
Oh, my God.
Yes, may we never forget. January 24th, 1556. Wow. And then lastly, we've got January 24th, 41. Not 1941, not 1541, just 41. So, yeah, just a short 1,984 years ago, the Roman Emperor Caligula was murdered at the Palatine Games by several members of his Praetorian Guard. Boy, if that ain't a knife in the back. It was actually several knives in the back that got him. And, so he was murdered on this day in 41. Just one day later, January 25th, 41 CE, his uncle was named Emperor Claudius I. Claudius I, as a general, had extended Roman rule into North Africa and made Britain a province of the Roman Empire. Boy, if that doesn't make Thanksgiving dinner awkward, I don't know what does.
That's a rough time to be alive.
Sorry, my nephew was murdered and all, but did y'all hear about my new job?
Yeah. There's certain decades that I kind of romanticize. I have this vision of, the 50s is so great, and as this like perfect image in my head. That time of what you're talking about there, no thanks. We're good. I'll pass on that.
Yeah, we'll take the internet and indoor plumbing and
exactly.
and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So that is this day in history, January 24th. Do stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to have Mayor Bill Miranda here. We had we've been keeping our eyes on the wildfires that have been growing throughout Southern California the last few weeks, and it's been bad. It's not only in terms of Southern California history, but national history, in terms of damage and the number of dollars that have been destroyed. The worst disaster in our nation's history. So we've been keeping our eye on that. And then we had our own fire breakout just this week on Wednesday here just north of Castaic Lake. Very scary. So we've invited the mayor to come in and join us, give us a little update on the fire, talk about his priorities. This is his second term as mayor here in 2025. His first term was in 2021 as we were kind of pulling out of the COVID craziness. But
he's
still
had a lot on his plate in a short amount of time.
It's not easy being mayor. But Mayor Bill Miranda will be joining us when we get back to talk about that and quite a few other things. So stick around. You're not going to want to miss it. I am Matt Watson. You are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We talked about it earlier. Earlier this month, several fires broke out simultaneously across the Los Angeles area, destroying just thousands of homes and other structures, devastating residents of the Southland. And then just earlier this week, a brush fire broke out north of Castaic Lake. Whipped by high winds and fed by dry conditions, the Hughes Fire quickly spread, very, very quickly spread, resulting in the evacuation of several thousand residents in the North Santa Clarita Valley area. Out in front of it all, along with the leadership from the LA County Fire Department, was our mayor, Bill Miranda. Mayor Miranda is an Air Force veteran, a local business owner, motivational speaker, and published author. He's lived in Santa Clarita for the last 42 years and is now in his second term as mayor. Mayor Miranda, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Certainly. And, we were doing this date in history before the break, and apparently we missed something. Around this weekend in history, we missed an event from a few years back. Can you share with us what happened in this date, 2017?
Yeah, in 2017, on January 24th, I was sworn in as a council member, the first Latino council member in the city of Santa Clarita. So I think that's sort of a historic event.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that with us. And we also had another correction and retraction coming in over the break. We talked about the Apple Macintosh being debuted on this date in 1984. Preceded 2 days earlier in the Super Bowl by the iconic commercial by the sledgehammer shattering the television screens, and producer Sarah popped in to let me know it wasn't a guy that broke the screen. It was a woman who broke from the crowd and,
yes, it was.
And shattered the screen. And so my humble apologies to 52% of the population. So we appreciate that.
She did it in heels, too.
She did. Alrighty. So, Mayor Miranda, we appreciate you joining us this morning. So let's start with what's on everybody's mind this morning. Can you give us a little bit of an update on the Hughes Fire, where we're at with that, and what the evacuation status is?
Well, the Evacuation orders have been lifted. There
great.
are none out there right now. The fire is 56% contained at this time. Everything is looking very, very positive. You can see the winds are not terribly high right now, and that's the biggest fear that we had. Forecast for rain, probably Sundays, maybe Saturday. That would be nice.
Yep.
So all of that is going to help. But the thing that's helped the most are the firefighters. The firefighters are superheroes. You know, when you do those cartoons and everything, and you have superheroes.
Yeah.
Put firefighters up there. Firefighters and first responders, sheriff deputies, Forest Service people, CHP, volunteers, all of those people came running, not walking, running to Santa Clarita to help with a fire, with the Hughes Fire.
Yeah.
We shortly after it started, we had over 4,000 firefighters here helping out. We had and that doesn't include the sheriff's deputies, the CHP, the Forest Service people, and other volunteers that came from all over the country, and even from Canada and Mexico. So incredible support. We were blessed not to have the fire impact any buildings or hurt any people in a very serious way. Of course, always be careful with the smoke and the smoke inhalation, things like that. But we dodged the bullet, but we dodged it because we had a team of fantastic heroes doing the job.
You're absolutely right. Many of whom had just come from the Palisades fire or the Eaton fire, some of the other fires that they had been redeployed to fight and then moved up here. You mentioned smoke inhalation. Do you know about the air quality? Is it safe for folks? I know schools are in the area are back in session today.
Yeah, the air in Santa Clarita is good right now. I would be careful with the air in and around Castaic.
Okay.
I'm not a weather person or an air person or anything like that, but I can tell you from previous experience, some of that stuff lingers. So be careful if you're in and around where the fire was. Be careful to not go out and go jogging or running or anything like that. That would be my advice, but I'm being super cautious maybe. But that's my advice.
Okay. And it might be a little bit too early for this. Have you spoken with the leadership at the fire department? Do we know a cause of the fire? Do we know what happened?
It's too early for that, but yes, I've been in touch with Chief Maroney and other fire officials. Of course, I've been in touch with the sheriff and Captain Diaz here locally, Sheriff Luna, and Captain Diaz here locally. We're all in great communication with one another, and I mean great communication because we're just a cell phone call away from direct contact with one another. So nothing gets missed, nothing gets passed by. We've rehearsed for these types of things for years.
Okay.
Because we've had fires in the past, as you well know, and we'll have fires in the future, unfortunately. But we're practiced, we're knowledgeable. We even gained additional knowledge with the fires that surrounded us, including Pacific Palisades and Altadena. So I think we're in very good shape. We're in very good hands, but we still have to be vigilant.
Yeah, absolutely. So very important to, and we're glad to hear that the city stays well practiced and rehearsed. We kind of lauded the role of the firefighters and the superheroes that they are. What role does the city play? Yourself, the other council members, city staff, when things like this happen? Is it mostly a communication role?
It's a communications role most importantly, but we have a command center here, and we've used the command center as a communication center, if you will, as a place where We go, the city manager goes there, our chief of police, Captain Diaz goes there, our local fire department chiefs go there, and the volunteers go there, fire service. Everybody meets there, and now you have a place where you can be eye to eye with people, not just over the phone, eye to eye with people.
Sure.
You can share ideas, share thoughts, share information, and that's the biggest thing. Whenever there's a disaster, the first thing that goes by the wayside is accurate information.
Yeah.
Because people start rumors. They hear things. They see. they think they see things, and all of a sudden, they think they know why they see those things. The command center is there for us to look into one another's eyes and say, "This is what I know. This is what I saw," and sometimes this is what I heard, but that doesn't make it accurate.
Sure. Gotta love social media, right?
Yeah. So when you talk about our role, the city's role, we pretty much set up the command center, and even though Castaic is not within the city limits, we're all one valley. We all work
absolutely.
together.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got that kind of sphere of influence, and you're absolutely right. That is us. Those are our neighbors. Speaking of our neighbors, there were quite a few of our neighbors that were evacuated. Thank you for letting us know the evacuation orders have been lifted. Hopefully folks are able to go back home. But did we have evacuation centers open, or were folks just kind of heading to hotels and things?
No. Initially, we used Valencia High School as a first evacuation center, and we put most of the school kids in there that had to be evacuated from the Castaic schools. And then we opened up the College of the Canyon as a major, the East Gym over there as a major evacuation center.
Okay. I know College of the Canyons is one of the only schools in the area that still remains closed. That could be a huge reason why they're still handling the response there. So, it's kind of.
By the way,
Please.
sorry for the interruption.
No, please.
College of the Canyons parking lot is also a headquarters for the vehicles, the first responder vehicles, and so they use the lot as a place to set their things in order.
Okay, so the first responders staging area is there.
Yes.
Gosh, College of the Canyons, besides being a world-class institute of learning, just serves so many different roles here in our community. I know we had a fire back in, there were a few fires back in, I think it was 2018, and our school, SCVi, a lot of schools in the Castaic area were evacuated. We were evacuated to COC, and so our students were there in the stadium until about 8 o'clock at night, some of them.
2018, I think you're talking about the Tick fire. We evacuated 40,000 people. 40,000 people, and many of them went to COC, but we also opened some of the high school gyms and some of the community centers.
Yeah.
We have ample places to put lots of people that have to evacuate.
Sure.
So again, we're rehearsed because we've done this before. We have equipment. Does that mean that everything's going to run according to plan and everything's going to be perfect? Not necessarily. We hope so, but not necessarily. What it does mean is that we're working hard to prepare as much as possible. We also learned a great deal from the earthquake. And I have to tell you, because I've been telling Carl Goldman and Jerry Cerati Goldman for years, they were instrumental, totally instrumental in the '94 earthquake. They were the only source of communication in our valley, this radio station.
Yeah.
And we are forever indebted to KHTS and to Carl and Jerry Goldman for staying on the air, for delivering accurate information, for helping us get through those, not days, weeks of earthquake disaster.
Yeah, I remember that well, and what a hot commodity batteries were, because everybody needed to put batteries in their radio.
Yes.
Because KHTS was the only source of information out here. So yeah, absolutely been instrumental. And you talk about those evacuation centers. That's why that role of communications through the city leadership, such as yourself, is so important, relaying from first responders to residents, coordinating with school officials. Are we able to use your school? Are we not able to? So important. I mentioned it's kind of a catch-22. We love our open space here in Santa Clarita. In fact, you and your colleagues have been absolutely instrumental in preserving our open spaces. We've got, world-renowned hiking and recreation here in Santa Clarita. But as we see, it doesn't come without a risk. When we go a little bit too long without some rain, our city is affected by these wildfires. So what does the city do to prepare, knowing that we've got this open space, we've got a lot of those rolling hills and some brush areas? What does the city do to help mitigate the risk of fires?
Yeah, and it's not just the city. I don't want to take all the credit. The city does a lot, but they do it in conjunction, coordination with lots of other agencies.
Okay.
For instance, you talk about open space. Well, open space, we're on it. Again, is it perfect? No, but we're on it. Okay, we're doing the best we can to mitigate any fires, earthquake disasters, mudslides, which you know how what the drill is in California, right?
Right.
Droughts, fires, rains, mudslides.
Yeah, it's a
Recycle.
kind of cycle. Yeah. Yeah, it can certainly be scary out there. These are events that we will remember for a long time. You recounted the earthquake of '94 and the tick fire and these different disasters that we have that have an impact on our life. But many of us wouldn't change it for the world. We love the place that we live, and our city has certainly done a great job developing the area. Mr. Mayor, we appreciate your leadership. We do want to talk a little bit more about your leadership. We'll look backward a little bit, but then I also want to look forward because you're starting your second term as mayor, and I'm sure you've got plans for the city as we move forward. So you stick around. When we get back, more with Mayor Bill Miranda, including his plans for our city in 2025, and some fun facts about the mayor that I bet you did not know. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead Schools' Eye on the Valley. You're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools' Eye on the Valley. Mayor Bill Miranda joins me this morning, Santa Clarita's first Latino mayor, now in his 9th year on the city council, and we're all kind of breathing a sigh of relief with the update that you provided with us last break, that the Hughes Fire is subsiding. Our firefighters are doing an amazing job. They've got it about 56% contained. Evacuation orders have been lifted. Folks still keeping an eye on it because until we get that rain, anything can happen. Now, Mayor Miranda, you certainly were a successful businessman. You had an amazing career prior to your appointment on the city council this day in 2017 when you replaced Dante Acosta, who had been elected to the California State Assembly. So what made you want to get into local politics? You and I were talking off the air. You never learn how horrible of a person you are until you get elected. What inspired you to get involved in local politics?
Well, if you had asked me 6 months or even less before the appointment to the council, I would have told you that the last thing in the world I ever wanted to do was be in politics or be in any elected or appointed position in government.
Sure.
Because I just thought, because I grew up in the corporate world, okay? I started my life, my business, my career with IBM, big Fortune 500 corporation. I pursued it for 4 or 5 years there. Then I went 5 years with an equally large corporation called Xerox. And then I went another 5 years. You get the 5-year thing?
Yeah, sure.
Then I went another 5 years with another Fortune 500 corporation called Data General. All three companies were in the computer industry. And So one of the things that happened while I was growing up in the computer industry is everything happens fast.
Yeah.
All innovations happen fast. Any idea comes to fruition fast. In government, everything is slow. Think about it. Everything is slow. You talk about aid to North Carolina. The hurricanes are 150 days old now.
Right.
They still haven't gotten the support they need. Okay. In the corporate world, that would have been done in a week or two.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
You can eliminate red tape in the corporate world. Unfortunately, in government, your hands are tied. You're a victim of red tape. And we are here in Santa Clarita, just like everybody else. Government has their hands tied. We have our hands tied sometimes by ourselves. Sometimes we have our hands tied by the state of California. Sometimes it's by the county of LA, and sometimes it's by the federal government. But there's so many procedures that you have to follow that as a career business person, I go, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that.
Sure.
I want to get moving. Let's get things done. You mentioned that, some of my ideas for 2025 as my second term as mayor. Well, if I didn't have the bureaucracy, I could name 10 things off the top of my head that, bam, I'd like to implement within the next 6 months, but that can't happen. Okay. But I can name things that we can do, even with government's cumbersome bureaucracy, that we can do or at least start making happen here in 2025 that'll impact our city for many years to come.
Yeah.
And whenever you want, I'll start naming them.
We will get to that. So what caused that shift? You mentioned in maybe 2016, last thing in the world that was on your mind was a career in politics. 2017, you got your hand up and you're being sworn in. What caused that shift?
Yeah, well, I'll be very direct on this. Dante Acosta was the first Latino to ever serve on the city council.
Correct.
I was very proud of that. I was part of a large team of people that helped to make that happen. When Dante got the position, got elected to the assembly, that left a void, no more Latinos on the council. And I felt the fact that our population in Santa Clarita at the time was close to a third Latino, I felt that out of 5 council members, we should have 1 Latino. And we had one, and now we lost one.
Yeah.
And so we looked around, asked a couple of people. Some people reacted positively, some people not so much. And then I just decided, you know what, I have to do this myself. And so to be honest with you, that was my biggest incentive. And of course, I love the city of Santa Clarita. I've been living here, as you said, now 42 years.
Yeah.
I've raised my family here, and my wife has had a business here for almost 40 years. I've had businesses here also, small businesses here in Santa Clarita, consulting businesses. And I just said, I have to do this. I have to fill that seat, and I have to help our city. And I think I have.
Yeah, and you've done well. And look at us today. Now our city council is 40% Latino.
Yes.
So
Patsy Ayala.
Yeah. So you mentioned looking forward to 2025. What are the goals that you've got here now as your second term as mayor? What's on the agenda?
Yeah, well, we have lots of things on the agenda. Some things are firm, some things are in the making. And so firm is, we're building the skating rink. We are taking over Central Park. We're taking over William S. Hart Park July 1st. We have great ideas and great plans for William S. Hart Park. Again, we just got to get that motion going and get people moving forward with those ideas. Some of the ideas are to put a arts and cultural center inside the park, and to really, really make something that's a go-to destination. The Metrolink station is right nearby.
Yeah.
We do something that's a go-to destination that looks fantastic with great art and great culture. We're going to have people coming from all of the Antelope Valley, from all of LA.
Yeah.
They're going to ride the Metrolink. They're going to get off the Metrolink station and walk right to William S. Hart Park to that go-to destination.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we have in mind. Another thing, since we're in that area of Old Town Newhall, we're in Old Town Newhall right now. Well, right next door, we're going to build a development that's going to include housing, retail, restaurants, probably a nice courtyard, underground parking.
Oh.
Right next door, right here. Down the street, south end of the street, where the parking lot is, where the Roger Dunn building is, and that little parking lot on the other side of Roger Dunn, the city owns all of that, and we're going to do a development. We're going to start work on that development, hopefully mid to the end of this year. Start work on that development where we're going to make all of Old Town Newhall from the circle to the south to the library to the north. All of it is going to be an arts and entertainment center with wonderful restaurants, wonderful music, wonderful art, comedy, magicians.
Yeah.
All the Main is going to be here, which is here now. And by the way, if you haven't been to the Main, go to the Main. There's always stuff happening at the Main. Kenyon Theater Guild is going to stay here. Right now, they're showing West Side Story.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my life, West Side Story.
Okay.
I grew up in New York City, and I was a Puerto Rican, and, the gangs and all of that.
Yeah.
For story for another day. But that's what's happening in Old Town Newhall. Very exciting stuff. And then you go over to Town Center. So if you go to the mall right now, you're going to be a little bit depressed because there's a lot of emptiness and there's not a lot of activity. But the people who bought the mall from Westfield have promised to submit a plan, a very interesting plan, a very exciting plan of what they want to do with the mall. Now, the city itself, we did a town center specific plan basically saying, look, this is our city, this is what we're permitting here. And so within that specific plan, Centennial then has to submit their plan. And so we're working together. It's not a they're working and we're working. No, both organizations are working together to create a plan that's going to make Town Center truly the center of town.
Okay.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there's this huge property, almost 1,000 acres, 996 acres to be precise, that's we call the donut hole in the city, and that's behind the Valencia Metrolink station, Saugus Speedway, what used to be Saugus Speedway, behind there. There's this huge property, it's a beautiful property, that was bought by a company, and they've renamed that property Sunridge.
Okay.
So it's the Sunridge development, was the old Whitaker Burmite site.
Yep.
It's been cleaned up, it's wonderful, it's ready to go. All we need is a good plan. They're going to submit a plan to us mid-year, maybe even 3/4 along the year, but they're going to submit a plan to us, and we're going to hopefully approve it. That is going to create about 6,500 homes in that area. It's going to create restaurants, parks, housing at every level. There's going to be single-family housing. It's going to be condos. It's going to be rentals. It's going to be senior housing. An incredible development. They're even going to have a water surf park. Isn't
nice.
that something?
Love that.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at for Sunridge. So my job as mayor is to keep these things moving forward. Don't let them linger. All right. If they're in planning, let's find out what the next steps are and let's get the next steps done. If they're in building and safety, let's find out what's required, what's missing, and let's get it done. I work with both the city staff, but I also work with the corporations, the organizations that are either the owners, the developers, or whatever. So that's my job as mayor, is to keep things moving. And I think pretty much I do a good job at that. Sometimes people get upset, but that's life. What else we have going? We're doing the lights and the stairs over at Central Park. We're still completing the lights. It's just beautiful, and it's something we can be very proud of. But the one thing a lot of people don't realize when we built the stairs, and we didn't even realize it when we built the stairs, is how many people were actually using them.
Right?
It's incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm still waiting for the city to install an escalator there. I would love to use that. That's more my speed.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Mayor, you talked about, everything that the city's doing. You and I discussed before we started this morning, when your family moved here, when my family moved here, Santa Clarita was not a destination. Santa Clarita was a place that you lived and went to school, and for everything else, you had to leave the valley. And today, in 2025, you're talking about a Santa Clarita that people are coming from all other areas.
It's pretty well known, and one that probably only a handful of people know about. And I'll talk about the handful of people know about item first.
Okay.
Early in my council career, we had to vote on rent increases for some of the senior housing. And there was a big argument. On the council, there was a big argument, do we do, 3%? Do we do 2%? Do we do 1%? Do we do nothing? And it was back and forth, and I think the owners of the parks where the seniors were living, they were the ones that control the rent. They came to us wanting to raise the rent beyond what we had agreed to before. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm not going to pick on anybody on the council, but there were people on the council at the time that said, you know what, the owners deserve, the raise. And I was firm, and I was adamant, and I was no. These seniors don't get a raise.
Right.
The owners want a raise. I get that, but the seniors don't get a raise. They're on fixed income.
Yeah.
And so I think I made a good enough argument because we voted down. They did get a little bit of a raise, but we kept it at an absolute minimum. Well, at the end of that vote and at the end of that council meeting, a handful of seniors, and by the way, the place was packed with seniors, but a handful of seniors came up. They came up to where I was on the dais, and with tears in their eyes, Matt, they said, "Thank you." With tears in their eyes, seniors. I was like, wow. And to me, that was one of the most impactful moments for me on the council. The other one, which is, I think, well known throughout the community, is we saved the cube.
Yes.
And that will be a lasting memory for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people. We were on the verge of losing the only ice skating rink in northern LA County.
Yeah.
And so many skaters use that. And they came, many of the skaters and their families came and petitioned the council. And it was during COVID.
I remember.
And the council basically said, we'd like to help, but it's just not the right time. Because it's COVID.
Yeah.
And I said, when I got a chance to speak, I said, you know what? It's never the right time. It's never the right time. There will always be an excuse for it not being the right time.
Mm-hmm.
These are tens of thousands of skaters that use the rink. And now is the right time. We need to save them. This is a park. Think of it as a park. Don't think of it as a money-making venture.
Sure.
Think of it as you just built a city park when you buy it. You just built a city park, and a lot of citizens are going to use it and be thankful that it exists.
Yep.
And I guess I was convincing because we bought it.
Well, and it's interesting because you talked before about the inefficiency of government sometimes and how private industry tends to be much more efficient. It has always amazed me, the city of Santa Clarita in particular, how efficient you've been able to run what typically is run by private industry. Talking about the main theater, which featuring world-class productions. They've got the Wolves this weekend, and then running the Cube, and not losing money, making money. And so the city's done a great job running these different venues.
Credit Ken Striplin and his entire team of officials. A special credit to Frank Oviedo, who oversaw most of the renovation of the Cube. Just a great effort on the part of a lot of people.
Yep.
Well done.
Yeah, you've got a tremendous staff at the city. We're really, really fortunate. I want to shift gears a little bit to something that not everybody knows about you. You are quite an accomplished author. You've written 2 books so far. Can you tell us about your books? What are they about, and what inspired you to become a writer?
Well, I've kind of always been a writer. I just didn't write books.
Okay.
I wrote for magazines and I wrote for different people.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of ghostwriting also. I enjoy writing. I enjoyed it from when I was in high school, and I was the editor-in-chief of our school newspaper.
Nice.
I went to college, and I wrote for the colleges. I was a sports writer, if you can believe that. I love sports, too. I was a sports writer for the local school newspaper. And along the way, I just kept, I read a lot, and I like to write. And so in 2013, I wrote my first book, Profiles in Latino Courage, which was a successful book. And by the way, to be a successful book, you have to sell more than 500 copies.
Okay.
Most authors do not get to 500 copies sold. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
All the books that are written in the world, most authors don't get past 500 copies.
Interesting.
Well, I got to 1,000 copies, and I was, yay. Am I a New York Times bestseller or anything? Not even close. But I got over 1,000 copies. So when I became mayor, I decided to write another book, which was interesting. We're still in the middle of COVID, 2021. We're still in the middle of COVID.
Yep.
We're still in the middle of Black Lives Matter. And I think I just decided to write so I could have a little peace in my life. I think that's why I decided to write. So, and writing is a huge endeavor. But I wrote a book called, what was it called?
I think it was A New Kind of...
A New Kind of Mayor.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I wrote a book called A New Kind of Mayor, and I told about my experiences here in Santa Clarita. Had a nice chapter on my lovely wife because I love her dearly, and nothing in my life would have happened without her.
Yeah.
So she's been extremely supportive, and sometimes she's had to grab me by the shirt and remind me that, I need to do things right. But yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of your lovely wife, Virginia, another little-known fact about you maybe we can get into during your next visit. The two of you are absolutely phenomenal dancers. Boy, you burn it up on the dance floor. Mayor Bill Miranda, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your leadership and your service to our city, and hopefully we'll have you back on here real soon.
Thank you very much.
Certainly. We will, you be well, and we'll talk to you later. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi, and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi, and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and now it is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. He is an executive and philanthropist. He is an amazing father, husband, and dog dad. And recently, the North Koreans have tried to incorporate his breath in their weapons program. Here he is, everybody. He's Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Morning, Matty. How are you?
Doing great. Tony, typically you start off the segment with Papa's Pick of the Week. Now, Papa had an absolutely terrible college football year. So on Monday night, I faded him and took the Irish in the national championship game, and I paid the price. Papa got that one right.
Papa got it right. Papa finished the year 4-8. So if you're doing Frogger math, he was 500.
Okay. Are we sure? 4 and 8 is 500. Wouldn't 8 and 8 be 500, Tony?
According to Frogger math.
Okay. So we're done with college football now. Does Papa do the pros? Do we have any NFL playoff picks for this week?
In his contract, it is not listed to do any pros or college basketball games, but we're in the process of renegotiation. That all depends on Papa.
Okay. All righty. Well, so you've got some trivia questions for us, or have you got fun fact first? What do you got?
I got two quick fun facts, and then we got a little bit of trivia. So the first fun fact, Maddie, in 2013, a feral pig in Australia went a little bit crazy. He, she, whatever the pig was, went into the Degree River campground and drank 18 beers that were left behind campers.
This pig was a bro.
Through the camp. I know. The pig then stumbled through the campground and started a fight with a cow. The cow chased the pig throughout the campground, and campers got to sit back and witness the whole event. As they're watching it all unveil, they nicknamed that pig Swino.
Swino. Oh, I get it. Swine. Wino. Oh, I love it. Big T, you ever have a few too many and pick a fight with a cow?
Not a cow. Well, hey, never mind. Big T's going to remain silent on that one.
There we go. Plead the fifth and move on to the trivia.
Correct. The last little fun fact I have, just a quick little blurb, Matt. Did you know that 1 in 3 snake bite victims is drunk and 1 in 5 is tattooed?
So that leads me to believe that 1 in 10 are drunk and tattooed.
Yes, it's a very high probability. All right.
That is interesting.
We got some food. We got some food trivia here this morning. We all ready?
All righty. Well, yeah. And speaking of y'all, engineer Andrew has joined us. Good morning, brother.
Good morning.
And we've got engineer Jen here. And you know what? Y'all can play along at home. And we're gonna hit our buzzers. You just shout out the answer. Jen, Andrew, you guys need to hit your buzzers. But the rest of you at home, just shout out the answer. See if you can beat us. But I don't think you can. We're pretty smart.
Awesome. What fast food restaurant would you find the McPlant, the McRib,
Frogger,
and the Crispy McChicken? Frogger.
The McDonald's.
McDonald's is correct. Alternating layers of ladyfingers soaked in coffee liqueur.
Frogger.
Comboed with Frogger.
Tiramisu.
Mascarpone cheese and chocolate. Get you tiramisu.
There you go.
Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. So goes the jingle in 1973 from what fast food chain that you could still have it your way?
Okay.
There it is.
That was
Jen is on the board.
Burger King.
Jen. Burger King is correct. What Food Network show has 4 chefs prepare a 3-course meal using unlikely ingredients from a mystery basket with 1 chef eliminated after each
Frogger.
course?
Andrew.
Frogger.
Hell's Kitchen.
Incorrect. Andrew.
Top Chef.
Incorrect.
The Martha Stewart show. I don't know.
It's actually a really good show. It's called Chopped.
Oh, okay. Okay. No. That mystery bag that Martha's dipping into, those aren't food ingredients, Jen.
That's from her friend Snoop Dogg, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the brownies.
Right.
Every summer, thousands of people come to Rock Island for the annual crustacean celebration of what Maine prized seafood
Frogger.
export? Frogger.
Lobster.
Lobster's correct.
Woohoo.
Kombu, wakame, and hajiki are all edible types of what plant, which is also known as a macroalgae or nori on a sushi menu?
Frogger.
Oh, okay.
Frogger.
Seaweed.
Seaweed's correct.
All right.
In 1936, what popular food brand debuted its first Wienermobile, a 13-foot-long Andrew.
No, give it to Jen.
Yeah, Jen was on the board first.
Jen? Okay.
Oscar Mayer.
Oscar Mayer's correct. A 13-foot giant hot dog on wheels.
And you know what? They are currently taking applications for you to drive that wiener around.
You think that'd be a good look for me, Frogger?
You know what, Big T?
Yes.
When you and I retire, you and I need to roll in that machine. You and I would be a lot of fun getting out of that wiener together.
We would have to have, like when you go to basketball games and they got those T-shirt launching guns, we're going to have to get a wiener gun.
There we go.
Those do exist.
Fire them off at the crowd.
They do. They do. We are going to tour the country shooting wieners at people.
And after every shot, you'd hear Frogger go, "The mustard's off the hot dog."
Tony, we better get back to the trivia. Jen's got her finger on the button.
Right? Which fast food chain's original chicken seasoning recipe is purported to be top secret
Frogger.
of 11?
We got Andrew.
I think Andrew.
KFC?
KFC's correct. A favorite of Star Trek's Captain Picard, which tea blend is named after the British Prime Minister from 1830
Frogger.
to 1834? Frogger.
Earl Grey.
Earl Grey, that is correct. It makes your voice deeper when you drink it.
Yes.
Introduced in 1962, Sonny the Cuckoo Bird is the mascot of what chocolatey General Mills cereal?
Frogger.
Frogger?
Cocoa Puffs.
That threw me
Cocoa
off.
Puffs is
Yeah.
correct.
Fruit Loops.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
What common leafy green is native to Persia and is often associated with a specific cartoon character who made
Frogger.
his Marine Time debut in Frogger?
Spinach.
Spinach is correct.
I think we got time for two more, T.
Perfect. The simple Italian salad known as caprese salad typically includes tomatoes, basil, and what type of cheese?
Jen.
Andrew.
Jen?
Mozzarella.
Mozzarella is correct. Last question. What American fast casual restaurant, formerly known as Boston Chicken, was founded in Newton, Massachusetts? Now, granted, the company moved to Colorado, and to Papa's dismay, they closed their Santa Clarita location. Jen?
Boston Market.
Boston Market is correct, one of Papa's favorites.
I know.
All right, T, last one.
Last one. Seltzer is made by dissolving what gas in water to make it bubbly or fizzly?
Frogger, methane.
Incorrect.
Jen. I don't know.
Jen.
Hydrogen.
Incorrect. Andrew,
Let's
you
go
got anything?
oxygen.
Carbon dioxide.
Okay.
All right, Big T, we got to wrap. Thanks for swinging by. We'd also like to thank our guest, Mayor Bill Miranda, Deborah Autrey, Director of iLead Lancaster Public Charter School, Lancaster's best in free public learning, TK through 12. Thank you, Producer Sarah, Engineer Andrew, Engineer Jen, and thank you for listening. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well, do good, and thank a firefighter. And join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.